There is one thing that annoys me more than anything else, and that is when people speak confidently about things they do not understand, and even worse, when they spew that out to people who don't know any better, and people absorb information that will lead them astray. This morning, I stumbled across a 20-minute video where someone basically rips into the latest video I put out, where I send a bore scope through different barrels, basically saying I'm completely incorrect with all of that and that I don't know what I'm talking about. And that's totally fine. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions. If this guy hates a particular brand of barrels or has had really bad experiences, that's fine. That's his own experience. However, some of the stuff he said was so bizarre, and I think it's time to set some of that straight. I'm not even going to mention the guy's name. Never seen him in my life. Don't know who he is. I just got sent the link. But first thing he says was that I was completely lying about the fact that I came across a Lothar Walther barrel that was that didn't have the bore in the center drilled concentrically. He told me that, I mustn't just listen to people who say stuff like that and everything. Well, here's the photo. I took it myself in the Netherlands on the 8th of March 2020. In fact, I took two pictures. That is a Lothar Walther barrel, and as you can see, the one side is thicker than the other. It is not concentric. Now, I'm not 100% sure what caliber that was. I think it was a 4-groove firearm barrel, maybe 6-groove. I can't tell. It was very dusty and rusty on the inside, but it was 100% a Lothar Walther barrel. And I had people there with me who can vouch for me, who stood next to me and saw it with their own eyes.
Holes drilled crooked. I think Matt said, a friend of his said it, that when he cut the barrel in half in the middle, that the hole wasn't in the center. So what? When they drill the hole through, the bit bends in the middle as it's spinning? In case you don't know this, Matt, drill bits are extremely hard. And if you move them the slightest bit, they snap. So, maybe if your friend says something, you shouldn't repeat it. That's called hearsay.
Oh, it gets even better. I just messaged the guy who I visited in the Netherlands, the gunsmith, and asked him if he remembers the barrel I was speaking about. And he said to me, "Oh, it's your lucky day, Matt. I'd actually just thrown it away, but I dug it out the bin and I cleaned it up. Here's some more pictures of it. And yep, I confirm it was a Lothar Walther barrel." I don't know. I don't have anything else to say about that. There's the proof. Not saying Lothar Walther barrels are bad, but this particular gunsmith had been using Lothar Walther barrels in his builds, and he decided to change to Krieger barrels because he said they were constructed better. At no point in that video did I say Lothar Walther barrels are terrible. I said that the polygonal barrel tends to be more fussy with slugs, and that has nothing to do with its construction quality. That's got to do with the actual design of the barrel, how deep the grooves are and how the slug rides on those lands. So that's got to do with 217 and 218 caliber slugs, which are the most popular slugs in 22 caliber, and some of the 25 and 30 cal slugs just are not very forgiving when you shoot them through a poly barrel, just because of the dimensions. If they redesigned that barrel with a different shape, it would probably shoot them very well. And then I never said that that Lothar Walther barrels are useless. I actually mentioned that there are some of the best barrels out there for 25 meter bench rest LV. All the LV 25 meter guns use 12 groove barrels or some other form of sharp edge rifling. That's just the way it is. And then most of the HV 177s use poly barrels and they shoot fantastic. I simply mentioned that for 100-yard bench rest, they have not really done so well, and the evidence is there. Go look at the results from last night for the 100-yard Rocky Mountain Airgun Challenge. The top, I think it might have even been the top 8 guns were all FXs, mostly 30 cals. There may be one guy in there who was shooting a raw, if I'm correct, but the top 3 were definitely FXs, and the guys who shot the other guns were fantastic as well. I'm just saying that the evidence is there. Those barrels do shoot well. As for whether you can trust those barrels or not, I literally picked up random liners off the shelf from in Utah, and Arizona when I go there because I can't fly with my own air guns and I don't own a 30 cal, pick up a random liner, spend a day or two tuning it, and I've taken podiums every single year for competitions. I've got a second place 100 yards, third place 100 yards, first place precision rifle 2 years in a row, speed champion 3 times in the same year, and the evidence is here. There you go. That was all with FX Smooth Twist X barrels. When that guy goes out and he shoots competitions and he is able to win, then he can come out and tell you what works and what doesn't. As for me, I've been to the factories. I know what works. I know how things are made. I don't need to be told how a barrel is made and what makes it good and what makes it doesn't, because I have helped to make barrels good and I use them in competitions and I do pretty well with them, and so do many other people. So don't listen to everything you see on the internet. Rather listen to people who have been there, done that, and they can prove that what they are speaking about can translate to actual results in real world testing. There you go.
What I usually did with these barrels, because they were so terrible with slugs and they vibrated, another reason why they vibrate, they're straws. Why are the harmonics magnified by an FX air gun? That toothpick. That's why. So they're junk. There's nothing a long distance guy can do with these guns.
And he goes as well. Okay, there's more.
The one.
I'm going to hold it a little higher here just because it's a little further. Oh, down he goes as well. This is crazy. Okay, one more. This one is a bit hidden. Okay, let's go for this one. Oh, down he goes as well.
The FX is not the leader in anything. FX might be telling the parrot to say what he's saying. These barrels are terrible. You can't, this is junk to me. If you're going to shoot pellets, you're fine. Slugs, no.
Who won the small bore slug challenge yesterday? It was an FX. Out of all the guns that competed, that was the one that made it. And obviously part of that was the nature of the competition. It was kind of like a PRS style competition. It wasn't a bench competition. I'm pretty sure if you built a dedicated heavy slug gun with a super butch barrel and you weighed it down, you put it on a bench, that could probably outshoot an FX Impact. However, an Impact shooting small bore slugs in a hunting style environment where you're shooting off barricades, sitting in awkward positions, that is a fantastic setup, and that is what I use small bore slugs for, hunting. That's what you shoot slugs for. I'd like to also categorically state that I do not think that there is a single barrel manufacturer out there that's capable of doing it perfectly every single time. Of course, you're going to get lemons. That's just the nature of making something that requires tolerances that are so tight. However, just because 2 particular barrels, for example, this guy in the video took 2 FX liners and measured them at the choke, or measured them at the groove diameter, just because they don't match each other perfectly doesn't mean that they're not good barrels. It simply means that at some point along the line, the design has changed, whether that is got to do with an improvement, realizing that changing a certain dimension improves a barrel, or whether it was simply material coming from the supply that was slightly different, so the choke has to be adapted to make that particular material work better with whatever pellet they're trying to get to shoot. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad barrel.
Are you kidding me? I thought you said these are all the same. Matt, they're perfect.
The interesting thing is, if you speak to any world champion shooter, I've got a few friends that have won world championships, whether it's field target, bench rest, F class, who will tell you that no matter what barrel brand they choose, they can choose whoever they believe to be the best barrel manufacturer in the world. It might be Krieger for F class, it might be Lothar Walther for bench rest, and they will go through 10 barrels and they'll find that 5 of them don't work at all, and they don't even consider them to be good. Some of them are pretty decent, and then there's one in that batch that is just brilliant, and they can win a world championship with that. What does that tell you? It means that those barrels are good. It's just the fact that they're not necessarily as consistent as you'd like them to be. JSP pellets, the best pellets on earth. Not every pellet that comes out the factory has the same head size or skirt thickness or weight. There's natural variation. Still the best pellets on earth though, and I can guarantee you that there will be specific batches of specific pellets that come out of specific dies that will shoot better in your barrel, even though your barrel comes out the same batch as a different barrel that likes completely different pellets. And that's just how barrels and pellets work. It's the exact same thing with ammunition. My 22-50 ticker may prefer 50 grain VMAXs. Someone else's gun that was made in the same month at the same factory with the same barrel machine might prefer a 50 grain nodular ballistic tip. That's just the way things work. I would also, I should just bring this up. I won't mention the exact companies. I don't want to put anyone in the spotlight, but I've stood at IWA trade show and at SHOT Show, and I've seen owners of big airgun companies. You wouldn't even believe if I told you who they were. Companies you know very well, who are some of the most well-known airgun manufacturers in the world, walk up to Frederick from FX and ask him, please, can they buy FX barrels instead of other brands? And it's not necessarily because the brands that they're buying make bad barrels. It's basic economics. So they're buying those barrels at a very premium price. Some of them don't shoot well. What do they do with the ones that don't shoot well? If they throw them away, they lose money. If they put them on their guns, they lose their reputation. Some of them have created like a budget gun or a subsidiary brand of cheaper guns where they can actually put their barrels that don't perform well on, so they can still sell them. And in those budget guns, that group might still be very acceptable. And they've done it that way. FX, thankfully, because they make barrels in-house and they don't buy them at a premium price, if the barrel doesn't shoot, they can actually just chuck it away or use it as a straw. That's a joke, by the way. And they can still, so they can keep their reputation, and they don't have to worry about losing money because they haven't had to buy a barrel at a premium price. And then you get companies, of course, like Thomas, who make premium guns, who are able to handpick the best barrels, put them on the few guns they make every month, and sell off the average barrels to other manufacturers or shooters who are willing to work on them or something like that. And they're able to maintain their reputation that way. But anyway, this topic, interesting one. Let's not get too deep into it, but I think there's a lot of people who talk about things I don't understand, and I try not to do that. I try to only speak about things that I feel I've really learned about. That's sometimes what takes me so long to make these videos. But bottom line, don't listen to everything you see on the internet. Listen to people who have proven themselves to back what they're saying, and you'll learn that way. That's the best way to learn.